Have you ever experienced that frustrating moment when you look at a familiar face but can't recall their name? Or perhaps you've walked into a room only to forget why you entered in the first place. Many dismiss these occurrences as inevitable signs of aging, but the truth is far more concerning. These subtle lapses aren't merely inconvenient, they're early warning signs of neural degeneration that, if left unchecked, could progressively worsen over time. Renowned neurosurgeon Dr. Mikhail Sorokin has revolutionized our understanding of brain health with groundbreaking research that challenges conventional wisdom about cognitive decline. His work at the prestigious Northern Institute of Neuroscience demonstrates that brain aging isn't an unavoidable sentence, but rather a process that can be significantly slowed or even reversed through specific practices. The brain possesses remarkable neuroplasticity, the ability to form new neural connections throughout life, explains Dr. Sorokin. The key is knowing which scientifically validated techniques actually stimulate this regenerative capacity. Today you'll discover 4 powerful, evidence-based methods that can help preserve your cognitive function for decades to come. The third technique is so effective that neurosurgeons regularly employ it before performing complex brain operations. Metiaka, the ancient monks' breathing technique for neural regeneration for over 500 years. Tibetan Buddhist monks have practiced a specific breathing pattern that Western science is only now beginning to understand. Known as square breathing, or box breathing, this technique has been scientifically proven to reduce cortisol levels, improve neural connectivity, and enhance cognitive performance within minutes of practice. Dr. Sorokin's laboratory studies revealed that this rhythmic breathing pattern activates the parasympathetic nervous system, immediately reducing stress hormones that damage brain cells. When cortisol floods the brain, it literally shrinks. The hippocampus, our memory center, explains Dr. Sorokin. Square breathing creates a neurochemical environment that protects brain cells and promotes neurogenesis. Technique follows a simple 4-4-44 pattern. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for a count of 4. Exhale slowly through your mouth for 4 seconds. Then pause again for 4 seconds before beginning the next cycle. This creates a perfect square of breathing that regulates heart rate, increases oxygen flow to the brain, and stimulates the vagus nerve, a critical pathway in stress reduction. In clinical trials, participants who practiced this technique for just 5 minutes daily showed measurable improvements in working memory and attention span after only 3 weeks. Alexandra, a 60-year-old professor suffering from chronic anxiety, incorporated square breathing into her nightly routine. Before bed, I would practice for just 7 minutes. She recalled, after a month, I noticed my memory had sharpened considerably. I was remembering my students' names more easily and could recall complex information during lectures without notes. What makes this technique particularly powerful is its immediate effect on brain wave patterns. EEG studies show that square breathing quickly shifts the brain from high-stress beta waves to alpha waves, the state associated with learning, creativity, and memory consolidation. The most effective implementation involves practicing this technique at 3 specific times: upon waking, before mentally demanding tasks, and before sleep. This strategic timing creates what Dr. Sorokin calls cognitive protection zones throughout your day. Metai 2, the metabolic key to neural rejuvenation. What if the secret to preserving your brain's youth lies not in what you eat, but when you eat? Dr. Sorokin's research has uncovered compelling evidence that intermittent fasting creates powerful neuroprotective effects by triggering a cellular cleaning process called autophagy. Most people believe they need to eat immediately upon waking to fuel their brain, notes Duxer, but this constant feeding actually prevents a crucial regenerative process from occurring. During extended periods without food, your body activates mechanisms that clear out damaged cells and stimulate the production of BDNF, a brain-derived neurotrophic factor often called Miracle-Gro for brain cells. The most accessible form of intermittent fasting follows a 16-8 pattern, confining all eating to an hour window and fasting for 16 hours. Dr. Sorokin himself practices this method, typically having his last meal by 6 p.m. and not eating again until 10 a.m. the following day. This isn't about calorie restriction, it's about metabolic switching. He explained, when your body transitions from using glucose to ketones for fuel, it creates an environment that dramatically enhances cognitive function. Research published in the Journal of Cerebral Blood Flow and Metabolism demonstrated that intermittent fasting increases the production of new neurons in the hippocampus by up to 30%. This neurogenesis directly translates to improved memory formation and retention. Victor, a 72-year-old retired accountant, was concerned about his increasing forgetfulness and mental fog. His doctor recommended Dr. Sorokin's intermittent fasting protocol. After 2 months of restricting his eating to between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m., Victor experienced remarkable improvements. It wasn't just that my memory improved, my thinking became clearer overall. Victor reports, I could solve complex crossword puzzles again, and my family noticed I was sharper in conversations, recalling details and following complex discussions with ease. For those new to fasting, Dr. Sorokin recommends starting gradually by delaying breakfast by 1 hour each week until reaching the 16-hour fasting window. The benefits begin to appear after just 2 weeks of consistent practice, with optimal results showing within 8-12 weeks. Most importantly, this method doesn't require special diets or supplements, just a simple adjustment to meal timing that works with your existing lifestyle. Method 3, the gravitational solution to cognitive decline. Here's a startling fact. The average adult spends approximately 12 hours daily in a seated position. This sedentary behavior is creating what Dr. Sorokin calls a neurological disaster by reducing blood flow to the brain by up to 20%. The solution, however, doesn't require intense exercise, just a fundamental change in posture. Simply standing for 3 hours a day can dramatically improve cognitive function, explains Dr. Sorokin. When we stand, blood circulation to the brain increases by approximately 15%, delivering oxygen and nutrients essential for neural health. His groundbreaking research demonstrates that standing activates the production of BDNF much more effectively than sitting does, even without additional movement. This neurotrophic factor strengthens existing neural connections and facilitates the formation of new ones, directly enhancing learning, memory, and overall cognitive resilience. The gravitational effect of standing also improves cerebrospinal fluid circulation, which helps clear metabolic waste products from the brain, including the beta-amyloid proteins associated with Alzheimer's disease. Dr. Sorokin reveals that this technique is so powerful that he and his surgical team always prepare for complex brain operations while standing rather than sitting. The increased blood flow keeps our minds sharper and improves our surgical precision measurably, he notes. Gregory, a 78-year-old novelist struggling with writer's block and diminishing creativity, implemented a standing routine into his daily life. He began taking all phone calls while standing and used a raised desk surface for reading. The mental fog that had plagued me for years began to dissipate. Gregory shared, within a month, my writing flowed more naturally, and I could maintain focus for hours, something I hadn't experienced in over a decade. The most effective implementation doesn't require standing continuously. Dr. Sorokin recommends breaking the 3 hours into manageable segments throughout the day, standing during phone calls, while watching television, or using a standing desk for certain activities. What makes this technique particularly valuable is its accessibility, requiring no special equipment or training, just a conscious decision to change position throughout your day. Method 4, ancient Chinese acupressure points for instant neural activation. For millennia, traditional Chinese medicine has recognized specific points on the scalp and face that directly influence brain function. Modern neuroscience now confirms that stimulating these points increases electrical activity in corresponding brain regions, enhancing neural connectivity and cognitive performance. Dr. Sorokin collaborated with Lin Wei, a specialist in Eastern medicine, to identify and scientifically validate specific acupressure points that most effectively stimulate cognitive function. Their research revealed that a 5-minute daily routine targeting these points increases cerebral blood flow by up to 15% and enhances alpha brainwave activity, the frequency associated with optimal cognitive processing. These techniques directly stimulate cranial nerves and unlock neural pathways that may have become dormant through aging, explains Dr. Sorokin. The effects are often immediate and cumulative over time. The technique involves gentle circular pressure on 3 key points: the Yintang point located between the eyebrows, the Sishinkong points 1 inch outward from the crown in 4 directions, and the Fengqi points at the base of the skull in the hollow between 2 neck muscles. For each point, apply gentle pressure in a circular motion for 30-60 seconds, focusing on your breath while doing so. This creates what Dr. Sorokin calls neurovascular cascade, a sudden increase in nutrients and oxygen to specific brain regions. Eliza, 84-year-old retired teacher experiencing memory difficulties, began practicing this technique daily. I was skeptical at first, she admits, but within 2 weeks I noticed I could recall names and dates more easily. My grandchildren commented that I seemed more present and engaged in conversations. Neuroimaging studies have shown that this method increases activity in the prefrontal cortex, the brain's command center for executive functions like decision-making, planning, and working memory. Additionally, it stimulates the hypothalamus to reduce the production of stress hormones that accelerate cognitive decline. What makes this technique particularly valuable is its immediate effect. While the other methods produce cumulative benefits over time, this acupressure routine can provide an instant cognitive boost before demanding mental tasks or in moments when clarity is essential. Baumanes, the forgotten focus formula from ancient China long before modern science understood neurotransmitters, Taoist practitioners developed a remarkable technique to instantly sharpen mental acuity through specific pressure points on the head. This method, recently validated by neuroimaging studies, shows immediate increases in prefrontal cortex activity, the brain region responsible for decision-making and focus. The technique begins by warming your hands through brisk rubbing, then placing your palms over your closed eyes for 30 seconds, stimulating the pineal gland and regulating dopamine production. Next, using your fingertips, gently tap in a circular pattern across your entire scalp for approximately 1 minute. This increases blood circulation to the brain by up to 25%. Finally, locate the depression at the base of your skull, known as GB20 in acupressure, and apply firm pressure with your thumbs for 60 seconds while taking deep breaths. This point directly influences the brainstem, the control center for alertness and attention. This 3-minute ritual activates neural circuits that enhance focus and mental clarity almost immediately. Explains Dr. Sorokin. Many of my colleagues use this technique before complex surgeries or when they need to maintain intense concentration. Charles, a 9-year-old mathematician who had been experiencing increasing difficulty with complex calculations, began using this method before his daily problem-solving sessions. The difference was remarkable. It was as if a mental curtain had been lifted. I could work through equations with the same clarity I had decades earlier. Neurochemically, this technique temporarily increases acetylcholine levels, a neurotransmitter essential for learning and attention, providing an immediate boost to cognitive performance. When practiced regularly, it strengthens these neural pathways for more sustainable improvements. What makes this approach uniquely valuable is its portability and immediacy. It can be performed anywhere, requires no special equipment, and delivers benefits within minutes rather than days or weeks. TA Mindus Comempius, directing your attention. For cognitive preservation, have you ever considered that where you direct your mental energy might be the most critical factor in preserving cognitive function? Dr. Sorokin's research suggests that your attentional focus acts as a compass that literally reshapes your neural architecture over time. The human brain continually adapts to what captures our attention. Explains Dr. Sorokin. If your mind dwells on problems, fears and negativity, neural networks supporting anxiety and stress become strengthened. Conversely, when you direct your attention toward learning, growth, and creation, you reinforce cognitive pathways associated with wisdom and mental acuity. Neuroscience confirms that people who consciously control their attentional focus rate 40% less cognitive decline compared to those whose attention is primarily reactive. This protective effect persists even when controlling for education, physical health, and genetic factors. The principle operates through what Dr. Sorokin calls attentional neuroplasticity, the brain's tendency to strengthen neural circuits that receive consistent activation through focused attention. Each morning presents a critical opportunity to set this neurological direction. The first 30 minutes after waking establishes your brain's biochemical environment for the entire day. Notes Dr. Beginning with anxiety, scrolling through negative news, or ruminating on problems, triggers cortisol cascades that accelerate cognitive aging. Starting with intention, learning, or creative thinking activates neuroprotective mechanisms. Research from the Karolinska Institute demonstrates that individuals who begin their day with intentional learning activities show measurably higher BDNF levels throughout the day, regardless of other factors like sleep quality or diet. This finding suggests a powerful yet simple intervention. Dedicate the first minutes of your morning to activities that direct your attention toward growth rather than reaction. This might include reading educational material, journaling about aspirations, or engaging in creative visualization, anything that orients your attentional compass toward expansion rather than contraction. Dr. Sorokin emphasizes that this approach doesn't require significant time investment. Even 5 minutes of intentional focus each morning can dramatically shift your neurological trajectory over weeks and months. He explained, the key is consistency rather than duration. KUI-FIN-NGS, the science behind neurological rejuvenation. Dr. Sorokin's pioneering research confirms that cognitive decline isn't an inevitable consequence of aging but rather results from specific lifestyle factors that can be modified. His team's longitudinal studies demonstrate that implementing these techniques can not only halt cognitive decline but potentially reverse it. Square breathing retrains autonomic nervous system responses, reducing cortisol, the stress hormone that damages hippocampal cells responsible for memory formation. In controlled trials, participants practicing this technique for 8 weeks showed average increases of 12% in working memory capacity and 9% in processing speed. Intermittent fasting triggers autophagy, the cellular cleaning process that removes damaged neural components, while simultaneously increasing BDNF production. This protein acts as a growth factor for neurons, enhancing synaptic plasticity and supporting new neural connections. Study participants following the 16 8 protocol demonstrated improvements in verbal recall and executive function equivalent to being 46 years younger cognitively after just 12 weeks. The standing technique leverages gravitational forces to improve cerebrovascular dynamics, enhancing blood flow to crucial brain regions. Neuroimaging shows that 3 hours of accumulated standing time daily increases prefrontal cortex activity by approximately 15% compared to predominantly seated controls. This translates to measurable improvements in decision-making, attention span, and cognitive flexibility. Traditional Chinese acupressure techniques directly stimulate cranial nerves and trigger neurovascular responses that increase oxygenation and nutrient delivery to neural tissues. Electroencephalographic measurements reveal that these methods enhance alpha wave activity, the brain frequency associated with learning, creativity, and cognitive integration. When combined, these approaches create a synergistic effect greater than the sum of their individual benefits. Participants following all 4 methods demonstrated cognitive scores typical of individuals 7-10 years younger after a 6-month intervention period. Dr. Sorokin emphasizes that these techniques work through distinct but complementary mechanisms, regulating stress response, enhancing cellular renewal, improving cerebrovascular function, and directly stimulating neural activity. Together, they address the primary pathways of brain aging from multiple angles. Ken Silisoun, your brain's future begins today. The mind represents your most precious resource, capable of experiencing joy, creating meaning, and connecting with others. When cognitive function declines, you lose more than memories. You lose essential aspects of your identity and independence. Dr. Sorokin's research offers compelling evidence that this decline isn't inevitable, but can be significantly influenced by daily choices. Square breathing provides immediate neurological protection by reducing stress hormones that damage brain cells. Intermittent fasting activates cellular cleaning mechanisms that remove neural debris while stimulating the growth of new connections. Standing leverages gravity to enhance blood flow and nutrient delivery to crucial brain regions. Traditional Chinese acupressure techniques directly activate neural pathways that might otherwise become dormant. Elizabeth, an 8-year-old artist who incorporated all 4 techniques, experienced such significant cognitive improvements that her neurologist initially suspected a misdiagnosis in her previous cognitive assessments. My mind feels clearer now than it did a decade ago, she reports. I'm not just maintaining my abilities, I'm rediscovering capacities I thought were permanently lost. Dr. Sorokin emphasizes that these methods don't require special equipment, medications, or extensive time commitments, just consistent application of scientifically validated principles. The brain responds to patterns, he explains. Small actions when repeated daily create profound neural adaptations over time. The question isn't whether these techniques work, the scientific evidence is clear. The real question is whether you'll begin implementing them today, tomorrow, or years from now when significant neural degeneration has already occurred. Your brain is adapting every day, either strengthening cognitive resilience or accelerating decline. As Dr. Sorokin often tells his patients, your future cognitive health isn't determined by your age or genetics nearly as much as by your daily choices. Brain you'll have at 80 or 90 is being shaped by what you do today. If you value mental clarity, sharp memory, and cognitive independence as you age, write "Preserving My Mind" in the comments section below. Subscribe to Conscious Knowledge for more evidence-based strategies to maintain optimal brain function throughout life. The neural connections that will support your thinking decades from now are being formed or lost today. The choice is yours.